Hey guys, this is Camfrey15 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another Hawkeye episode review for you guys. As this week we are going to be talking about Hawkeye episode 3. And man, this was a highly intense, action-paced episode, as well as us getting left on that cliffhanger with Kate's stepdad, called Swordsmaster, which I did all my when I was listening to other people's reviews. I found out he's Swordsmaster. I don't know much about who Swordsmaster is, but that's who Kate's stepdad is and everything. So yeah, and then we get more backstory into who Echo is as a character, as well as we get some references for Daredevil slash Kingpin, really, which is very interesting to see. But let's get into this episode. So we essentially see a flashback to a much younger Echo, and we know that Echo is a character with deaf. She can't hear or speak or anything. So she's kind of chilling at the school, and she's kind of drawing, or she's kind of just trying to listen, but she can't hear because the people are not speaking in sign language fashion. Her now, her teacher thinks like, oh, she's not paying attention to the lessons or anything, but in reality she's understanding what the teacher's trying to say. It's kind of the whole standpoint of the fact that, well, she's kind of ostracized from the others because there's nobody out there that could do what she does, or people like her essentially, and stuff like that. And we see this nice little relationship with her father, of the fact that her father is kind of a poor dude, and he doesn't have the funds to put her in like a deaf school or anything to make her feel like that. And really, her father's the one person she looks up to and she can relate to, because he's able to do sign language and everything, and seemingly like that relationship was nice and all. Then we cut over to when she's like doing like jiu-jitsu or karate or martial arts or something like that, and her uncle says, well, or not her uncle, her dad drops the word uncle, because he has to go do this because he doesn't want to make uncle very, very mad. In the meantime, we don't see the face or anything. We just see like a torso area, and we see apparently somebody in a black suit, and he grabs Echo's cheek, and he makes like a and had a white hand and everything. And most 9 out of 10 people are leading to believe, because there's speculations that Kingpin might be in this series. He might make an appearance. And listen, I'm back with the whole WandaVision stuff. There was Mephisto stuff, and eventually we found out there was no Mephisto in this. I don't think Marvel is gonna Mephisto this and just pull a bait and switch and make it somebody else. I think that's the Kingpin from the Daredevil Netflix series. Now, I've not seen. You might look at me, you might sound crazy, like, how have you not seen this? But I've never seen any of the Marvel Netflix series. I seen like only like tidbits of the first Daredevil episode, and I never continued. I always said I was going to continue. I was going to watch it and everything, but I never got to it. 1, because I don't have time, and then 3, it's just I just had other things to watch at the time. But I think it's the Kingpin from the Daredevil series. Now, from what I heard, from what other people are saying, essentially what they're planning on doing is like, because we also hear that the Daredevil actor from the Netflix series apparently is supposed to be in Spider-Man No Way Home as you could say Peter's attorney and everything, which would introduce Daredevil into the MCU officially. And from what, like I said, what I heard other people, it's like they're using the Daredevil characters from the Netflix series, like obviously Daredevil himself, Matt Murdock, and the Kingpin. They're putting in the MCU and kind of doing, like, I guess you could say, a soft reboot, in a way where they're only affected to that whole thing. But everything, and we get Kingpin references like even later, like at the end of the episode, where we don't want to upset the big man, and we don't want to upset Uncle or anything, because we failed in stopping Hawkeye. And then even Hawkeye even tells Kate, like, yeah, there's a guy, not, there's a guy above them that you don't want to mess with. So you have to wonder, maybe during his time as Ronin, he maybe Clint freaking dealt with some of, well, Wilson Fisk's little operation and stuff like that. And we all know that Avengers Tower has gotten sold, and there's people speculating, well, that could be Oscorp, that could be the new Fantastic Four, tower and everything. Now you could probably enter the fact that, oh, well, it seems like now you can add Wilson Fisk maybe buying Avengers Tower and making it Fisk Tower. I believe that's what his tower is called. And stuff like that. So that definitely could happen. I think if Wilson Fisk is in this, he can definitely be the main villain. And then I guess whenever they decide to do a Daredevil movie in the future, or you can introduce him, because apparently, even though Sony declined, or denies the fact that Amy Pascal came out with the whole, oh, we're gonna get 3 more Tom Holland movies in the MCU. Listen, yes, maybe Sony will deny that and everything, but I can definitely see Sony be like, you know what, let's do it. You can definitely have Kingpin in a Spider-Man movie, because Kingpin is also a Spider-Man villain as well. He's not just a Daredevil villain, he's also a Spider-Man villain as well. And it'd be very interesting to see, well, the MCU Spider-Man interact with Kingpin and everything. So yeah, and apparently it's supposed to be the same actor that played Kingpin in the Netflix series. So yeah, that's gonna be very interesting to see. So it would be my first taste of seeing Kingpin, this alliteration of Kingpin, especially live action Kingpin. But I do think it would be freaking cool to see him finally in the MCU, as well as when we eventually get Daredevil and stuff like that. And I do know Echo is a Daredevil character, so it kind of adds up that they're gonna introduce Daredevil eventually into the MCU canon at some point. So yes, but essentially, what happens is, obviously Clint and Kate are tied up in, obviously, the jumpsuit mafia, type of gang, and we see Echo come down, and Echo's kind of wondering. Oh, I forgot to mention Echo's backstory too. So Echo's coming back home after training, and we see what is it? Clint's Ronin, Hawkeye Ronin, actually killing some of the jumpsuit mafia gang members, and he actually ends up killing her father, and that's why she has a whole vendetta against Ronin, and why she wants to kill Ronin, and stuff like that. So yeah, and obviously with this took place during the 5-year time skip, when after Thanos snapped his finger. So we find out that Echo was one of the few people that were still not snapped, as well as her father, and stuff like that. So that was the whole thing interesting. So she comes down, she starts asking Clint, like, okay, Ronin, where is he, and stuff like that. And Clint's like, he's dead. I don't know where he is. He's dead, and stuff like that. And she's like, who killed him? And he was like, Black Widow killed him. But the thing is, she doesn't buy what he's saying and everything. And eventually gets to the point where they eventually escape. Clint escapes. He tries to fight his way out. Him and Echo have a short little fight, but when obviously Hawkeye gets his arrows back, he's able to deter her for a bit, and then he also saves Kate. They eventually get out of there. You get this crazy car chase scene, which, if you were watching the Disney Day, especially during the Marvel panel event, they did show this same exact car chase scene in a clip, but this was a lot longer, and it's crazy. And this whole scene was the fact that, and also too, I forgot to mention, Echo actually sees that Hawkeye has a hearing aid, and she's like, I think you'd be better without a hearing aid. And Hawkeye's like, oh, I would disagree with that standpoint, and stuff like that. Eventually she took it off, and she freaking like smashed and everything. But you get this whole car chase scene where Clint can't hear Kate's talking and everything, because he can't hear and everything. Throughout this whole car chasing, you just have Kate using the trick arrows all over the place. Like, you have they call it Play-Doh. It's like gooey type of stuff. It's just comedic stuff and everything. It was still cool to see and everything. And we get this one trick arrow where it was actually developed by or had PIM particles in it. which definitely made it freaking bigger or smaller, and then you know made it. And then when Kate fired her arrow, she made it big, and I was like, well, interesting. I wonder if he talked to Hank Pym with that, or how. I'm like, how did he even get a hold of that? He must have had to talk to Hank Pym at some point. Like, can I have an arrow that has Pym particles in it? I think that would be good. So yeah, that's the whole thing there. And they eventually end up getting away from Echo and the jumpsuit mafia people and everything. So this is kind of when they're kind of just chillaxing for a bit. You kind of get some downtime, and you get a pretty little sad scene with the fact that, well, Hawkeye's son is calling him, but he can't hear him because he has no hearing aid and everything. And essentially have Kate translating for him and everything, and the fact that his son wants him to be home for Christmas and everything, but he obviously has to deal with what he's dealing with now, and he can't do it. And Kate's obviously getting pretty emotional because she's seeing like, oh shit, like he actually got some family drama and stuff like that. So that's the whole thing there. Eventually what happens later, they eventually get his hearing aid fixed and everything. Kate calls the dog Pizza Dog. I know has another name. I think in the comics they call him Lucky or something like that. So yeah. And the rest of the episode is kind of just, well, obviously Hawkeye telling Kate, listen, if you're going to be committed to being a hero, well, just to let you know, this isn't the life you think it's going to be. If you're going to be committed to this stuff, I'm going to warn you, you're going to go through a lot of troublings, pains. You can risk your loved ones getting involved with this, and you're going to see some things that you might not want to see. Essentially, he's essentially telling her, like, listen, with everything I've been through over 20 years, trust and believe. If you want to get in this life, that's fine, but you need to know the risk that comes with it, and stuff like that. And you can kind of see, like, clearly Clint, he's kind of just like kind of tired of doing the superhero gig and everything, and he's kind of mentally and physically exhausted from this, and it's kind of taking a toll on him and stuff like that, especially with the events from Avengers Endgame, with everybody, mostly people care, close to him dying, and like Tony, and especially Black Widow, dying. That essentially broke him emotionally and everything. Also too, we kind of see that Kate's somewhat putting the pieces together to find out that Hawkeye's Ronin. Again, it's also leading up to when Echo finds out that Hawkeye was actually Ronin. It's gonna be the same thing when Kate's gonna find out eventually. Now we'll see how Kate's gonna feel towards that and everything. I kind of don't hope they do the whole thing where she gets really pissed off at him for not telling him, like, you were Ronin, you killed all these people all this time. I hope they make it to where she's kind of shocked, and he's like, listen, that's what I told you, I'm not who you think I am. He even says it in their little bar discussion of the fact, he's like, I'm not a role model, so I don't know what you're talking about. I've been through a lot. I'm definitely not a role model. So I kind of hope they just at least have a scene where Kate's kind of visibly frustrated at him a bit, but that's when Hawkeye can say, like, listen, I told you, I'm not a role model. I'm not who you think I was, and stuff like that. I did things that I still regret to this day, but, listen, I made those decisions at the time and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the whole thing. And then, like I said, when Echo finds out, she's gonna be pissed, because we already know, if you watch Black Widow, at the end of the credit scenes, Yelena Belova is coming after him. Essentially, freaking Hawkeye's gonna have two people gunning to kill him right then and there, and stuff like that. And who's to know that? Well, guess what? If Kingpin is in this, who's to know that Echo doesn't go to Kingpin and be like, I found the identity of Ronin, and says that? Then you'll have fucking Kingpin coming after Hawkeye's ass, which is crazy enough as is, and stuff like that. So that was kind of the whole thing there, and that's just kind of it. You're get a funny montage, little funny scene with Kate Bishop telling, like, I think you should wear something like this, essentially drawing a costume on paper like the old comic costume of Hawkeye, and Hawkeye's like, you couldn't pay me enough money to wear that. If anything, my wife would divorce me if she caught me wearing that, which was freaking hilarious and everything. So yeah, that's the thing. So eventually, so they're planning on taking down this whole operation and stuff like that. And that's also when, Clint tells Kate, like, listen, when you get involved in the, listen, when we're trying to take this down, we're gonna try to take this down from the highest part we can take it down, and then we're gonna leave it as that, because if we get any higher, then we're gonna get into territory that we do not, and I repeat, we do not want to get into, and stuff like that. Which is funny because I think Kate makes a reference to when she's talking to the dog. She's like, listen, she's like, hey, beats a dog, don't get involved in organized crimes. And I'm like, yeah, especially if they got big crime lords or stuff like that, or mob bosses, essentially. We even see Echo's group clearing out because she says we do not want to have the big man upstairs get pissed off and everything and make this a whole setback and stuff like that. Essentially, the episode ends where they infiltrate Kate's mom's house and they're trying to find information more on this Kazi guy. I forgot his name. Which is the guy that we saw who was the interpreter for Echo and stuff like that. So they're trying to also do some more digging in on stuff like that, but they eventually there's a highly secured password that they can't break. Hawkeye's walking off, and then he's eventually got Swordmaster with his Ronin sword at his throat saying, like, don't move 1 inch. I don't know how this is going to end or how the next episode is going to start, episode 4, because this is a 6-episode series. But definitely the next 3 episodes are going to pick up crazy. Episode 4 is definitely going to pick up like crazy and stuff like that. So it's going to be very interesting to see where this is going to go and stuff like that. Especially with the whole thing between Kate and, well, her stepfather in a way. Again, and then we also getting maybe potential hints when Kate was breaking through the codes and everything on her mom's laptop, as a standpoint, like, maybe her mom could be involved in all this nonsense and stuff like that, and maybe it's like, oh, yada yada yada. So I thought this episode was good. I definitely liked it more than episodes 1 and 2. Definitely can't wait to see what happens next. I hope they really do show the Kingpin off in this series, so then what's gonna happen. I think they are. Like, the suit was kind of a dead giveaway, and even people are like, who watch the actor, like, the dude's laugh sounds like the actor, so they're gonna do the Kingpin's in this series. Now, I don't think he's gonna be like big bad villain in this. I think he's just gonna be I think Kingpin's gonna show up probably in the 6th episode as like the last like bit of the episode, like as the last bit before the whole show is over with. And he's gonna be like, oh, nice, or he says something that has some relevant information to it. And stuff like that. And I guess I wouldn't envision him to reappear till, I guess, the Echo series, and stuff like that. We don't know much about the Echo series. We only know that, well, Echo is gonna be playing in the series, so I wouldn't guess that freaking Kingpin would be in this series. And then we probably wouldn't see Kingpin till don't know when, unless they were to like say, hey, next Spider-Man movie in the MCU, if it happens, he's gonna be in it. Which I highly doubt it. He'd probably be in the first Daredevil MCU film before that. So yeah, but who knows? I'm just speculating. But if you guys like this video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this week's episode of Hawkeye. What are your predictions? Do you think Kingpin is going to be in this series and make an appearance, or do you think there's somebody else? As well as the subscribe button. You want to get more MCU content. Again, I will be reviewing Spider-Man No Way Home after I see it on December 16th in my theater. And yeah, but other than that, I'm MacGyver. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night on this video. Until then, guys, peace.